Well, all right. Looks like you made it to part 2, which is good for you, all right? Yes, sir. Well, now, if you haven't done part 1, because, you can find this somehow, or maybe a well-meaning friend sent you the link or something, and they say, oh, you don't have to do part 1, God, I don't know. It's the World Wide Web. I don't know what's going on out there. But if you have not done part 1 of this herpes curing program, and by the way, you notice I have my I Cured Cancer t-shirt on. I have an I Cured Herpes t-shirt somewhere, but I don't know where. I actually have my cap though. Look at this. See, here's my I Cured Herpes cap. So all my neighbors know I cured my herpes. When I go over their houses, say hello to them, I show them my cap. See, so, but what do I know? Whether you did part 1 or not. But definitely do part 1 before you watch this. And also, are you now my new Facebook friend? And how's that been going for you? I'm assuming you've maybe been my Facebook friend for a couple of minutes, and but in a couple of minutes, did you actually look down my Facebook wall? Because it just changes the way you go through this. Like the people, as you're doing this movie. See, this is a movie that you do. Okay, you don't watch this. I'm sure some people are going to insist on watching it and not do it, and then they'll walk away and go, oh, I guess you can't cure your herpes. I watched the movie and I still have herpes. They said if I watched that movie I'd cure my herpes, and I didn't. Anyway, as you're doing this movie, you do it differently when you have been in a context of cure, meaning that you've been around people who cure things. You may not know anybody who cures things. There may be nobody in your life who even knows this is possible. So so if you now have, like, all you have to do is just read what somebody writes, not even necessarily me, about curing something. And there's all these people on my Facebook wall, right? I mean, if you were there, you saw that. And, and all you do is you just click like under what one of them wrote. Or maybe even write a little, hey, great, back to them or something, You don't have to be Shakespeare. And assuming you connect with them. The whole idea of this is to be connected with the ability to cure things, and that largely can mean being connected with people who cure things. So as you do this movie, you will do it differently. If you just give yourself a moment to connect with some other human beings that are not a movie, who actually wrote something today, presumably, about curing something. So, are we ready then to... Now see, at the end of this movie, by the time this movie is over, you are going to know how to cure your herpes. That does not necessarily mean that you will be able to, or that you will do so, even if you are able to. It doesn't mean that you're going to cure your herpes. It just means that you will know how to cure it. That's one thing I can guarantee you, but whether you're going to cure it or not, that I don't know. Nobody can make anybody do anything. And for a lot of people, curing herpes can be very much like it is for an alcoholic to give up drinking. And I know you don't understand that right now because you don't know how to cure herpes, okay? So I'm not expecting you to understand what I'm saying, but I'm thinking maybe you'll remember it later. Okay, so what in this movie, you're going to, first of all, you're going to see what it is to get a signal. I'm going to show you a couple of women getting signals, and then you're going to actually see somebody cure herpes. This is another woman who's a brand new person who had herpes, and she was having a herpes outbreak, and I did the, you see her doing it and you see her curing it, and so you'll understand exactly what you have to do when you cure your herpes. And then we're going to talk some more. I'm going to show you another woman talking about it, and she's asking me some questions. So that's what you're going to. By the time this movie is over, you will have an overview of curing herpes. That's what I'm going to give you in this movie, and presumably you will start curing your own herpes while you're watching the movie. You're going to do everything you're shown. It's going to be illustrated and demonstrated, and you're going to do it, and you're going to start curing your herpes and hopefully feel better the way you see people feeling better in the movie. Okay? So here are the first two women illustrating what it is to get a signal. But the first question you want to see if you get a signal on is, can I cure things? So just both of you, and I want to see your fingers. Deborah, so see my finger in front of my face like this. So I want to see your fingers, yeah. Okay, so ask that question.
So just ask yourself and the powers that be, am I able to cure things? Am I able to cure things? With the signal in the finger, the temperature, vibration, pulse. Yeah, it's a little pulse. Yeah, she got a little pulse. Okay, that's a yes.
Okay, so you got a yes, so that's your signal. So now, I'm going to do, presumably, you have an idea, and of course, this is my signal. I'll put my hand closer to the camera than they had theirs. You notice that's my movement. This is what my signal looks like. I'm not actually getting a signal there, but that's what it looks like. It looks like a tiny movement of my pinky. And if you want to try getting a signal at this point, you could try it. You can make a statement or ask a question, see if you get a signal on it, and if you do, that means that the statement is true or it's yes to the question and so on. Oh, for example, you could ask, can I cure my herpes? And see if you get a movement. And if you don't get a movement, don't worry about it, because no movement actually means no. So you may be getting a signal, but the signal may be no, that you're not able to cure your herpes at this time. Well, it's understandable. You haven't worked yourself into it. So it's possible that you're not able to cure your herpes right now. It doesn't mean you'll never be able to cure it. It just means no for now. But also you might not be getting a signal, and there are other movies about getting a signal. So if you're having trouble getting a signal, I'm going to put a link. I'm going to put a link on the page where this movie is embedded, right under it. So, and it'll just say, if you're having trouble getting a signal, here are some movies you can watch and see if you can get a signal. And you might as well try watching a few of them anyway, even if you're getting a signal, just to sort of ground yourself in it and understand the variations it can take. There's a lot of movies, and you can spend a lot of hours actually doing that. I think there's a whole bunch of movies there, so you might be able to spend 2 or 3 hours just seeing if you can get a signal. Or you can just, figure that whatever the signal you're getting is good enough and go on from there. Basically, any signal is fine. Signals are involuntary. That's the identifying thing. Let me see if I can get a signal and show you. Like here, let me try this, okay? Am I happy? You notice that little twitch? That's actually more like what my signal looks like than because that was a signal, and that's more like what my signal looks like than the one I showed you before. Just an example, okay? All right, so now you're going to actually learn how to cure herpes, now that you see what a signal is. I just thought I'd devote a little special part to what a signal is. So that would maybe orient you. And now it's time for you to, see what it's like to cure your herpes. So I'm going to show you a movie of a woman who's brand new. Her name is Tony Ann Pintabano. When I said hello to her, I didn't know her that well when I actually made this movie, so when I said hello to her, I mispronounced her name, but it's the Nina, the Pinta, Bono, the Santa Maria. That's how I remember it. I can remember Tony Ann's name now. Well, I know her a lot better now. So anyway, this is a movie where she is actually having a herpes outbreak, and I should probably explain a little about this, because she has oral herpes, and she often gets the lip thing, the sore on the lip. But she also, the oral herpes went inside of her throat and ear cavity. And see, she has, in the movie, she's also curing another disease, which is called Epstein-Barr. It's the disease that causes chronic fatigue syndrome. When you were a kid, maybe you knew somebody who got mononucleosis. That's the disease. That's what they called it when I was a kid, and now they call it Epstein-Barr or chronic fatigue syndrome, which is caused by this virus, and that's actually another herpes virus, but obviously not one of the STD herpes viruses, although they used to call it the kissing disease. People used to transfer it by, teenagers transferred it when they used to make out. That was a long time ago for me. I'm almost 70. Brings back memories, rock and roll, Anyway, so she was also, you can cure that. See, we cure a lot of things, obviously. See, here's this I Cured Cancer t-shirt that we, people wear these, and that's how they tell their friends, things about the cure drive, So this, see, what you have to realize is that this is this gigantic organization. We're all over the world, and there are thousands of us, and we've cured everything under the sun, And so what this program is we're trying to help you cure your herpes. We're trying to focus on that in this program and give you something that will, teach you what the basic things that herpes sufferers need to know about curing their herpes. So, okay, here comes this movie. Pay careful attention, then I'll explain more to you after you watch it. You are Tony Ann Pintabano.
Yes.
So, I want to do a 5-minute demonstration of how to cure herpes where people can actually learn to do it. Now, in order to do that, the person watching this can't watch it. They actually have to do this movie.
Okay.
Because if you watch the movie, you're not going to cure anything, and we won't have shown you how to cure it. The only way for us to show you is if you do the things that you see. So I'm Byard Barnes. I've cured 2 kinds of herpes. I had lip and genital. I never do anything halfway. And Tony Ann, you have not yet cured your herpes. You've been doing this it's been a week since you started getting signals again, right?
Yeah.
So you're just starting on the herpes curing trail. Okay.
And currently I'm getting, something's going on in my ear.
Okay, so you believe that you have a herpes outbreak in your ear.
Yeah, I feel like a little bump, and the other day I was getting one on my lip, but it never came out to fruition. I think, obviously because I'm doing this.
So you stopped it. You stopped the herpes outbreak the other day by you doing this.
Yes.
What they're going to learn. Okay. And now you've got it again.
Yeah, now it's like I can actually feel the nerve ending, like throbbing up to my ear.
Right. So you're at the point where you haven't cured your herpes, but you can stop the symptoms sometimes. You're learning gradually and slowly how to actually eradicate the disease from your body.
Yeah.
So in this 5-minute demonstration, we are going to see how far we can get with that.
Okay. Am I connected to my ability to kill my herpes? Yes.
Okay, got and it takes a second there to get a signal. So the person watching should give themselves a minute or a second to get a signal. And also,
oh, yeah, it can definitely take up to a minute.
And also keep asking the questions. Ask the next question.
Yeah.
Test this also. Do I have a herpes infection on my lip?
Do I have a herpes infection on my lip? Yeah.
Okay, I'm now killing the herpes in the infection on my lip.
I'm now killing the herpes.
Tell me when you get a signal.
Got it.
Okay, I want you to ask this question. Do I still have herpes in my physical body?
I still have herpes in my physical body. Yes.
Okay, kill it.
I now kill herpesviridae.
I'm afraid people are going to think you're visualizing this. You're not visualizing it, are you? You're just waiting for a signal. You're not visualizing anything. These are not visualizations or affirmations. She is actually killing the virus. That's what she's doing.
Yeah, my finger's still moving.
You got it?
Yep.
Do you feel any different?
Yes.
What's the difference?
Very just calm, peaceful.
Okay. Well, I think we made a good demonstration. What do you think?
I think so too.
How do you seem to yourself?
Very calm.
Yeah, that's how you look.
Right. Almost like I could take a nap, to be honest with you.
Well, you couldn't sleep last night because you were sick.
Yes.
Did you do any of this when you were feeling that way?
Yes.
And did it help?
Oh yeah, it always helps, absolutely.
And when it helped, I guess you went to sleep when it helped, right?
Yes.
And then after a while you woke up again and you were sick.
Yes.
Now that happened to Franny, the very last flu that Franny ever got. She woke up every hour and a half. She was waking up all night and she would take the flu out of all her bodies. And when she woke up in the morning, it was gone.
Wow.
She never had another flu. That was in 1996. 14
That's
years.
awesome.
Yeah, 14 years ago. Mm-hmm. So you're feeling very calm now.
Yeah.
Do you still have a headache?
Nope.
Do you think the headache was connected with the swelling?
Absolutely.
So you think maybe the swelling went down now?
I don't know, I can't tell.
Well, let me put it this way.
I feel like a little sore.
If the swelling was giving you a headache, and then you don't have the headache, the swelling went down, but it doesn't mean it's gone. It might still be swollen.
Yes.
but it's not pushing out. It's stopped doing that. It's receding.
Something changed.
Yeah. All right, very good. Now I'm going to now explain to you what you just saw. Believe it or not, that is exactly how quick it is to cure herpes. And one of the problems with this is because when people see that, and actually when they do it, they create the misunderstanding that they're cured. It's very much like taking an allopathic medicine where, you know, let's say a drug addict has tuberculosis in New York City that he got from a dirty needle. And he goes to a clinic. Then they give him an antibiotic, and they test the tuberculosis, and they give him an antibiotic that's appropriate for it. And he takes the antibiotic, and he starts feeling better after a day or two. And he believes that the tuberculosis is gone, and a friend of his, who he shared the needle with, also has it, but doesn't want to go to the clinic, doesn't want to spend the time. So the drug addict gives his friend the rest of the antibiotic in the, in the little vial, or sells it to him, and so he stops taking it. Well, the tuberculosis comes back, and when it comes back, it can actually be worse, because now the tuberculosis has gotten used to that antibiotic. And that's how these different strains of tuberculosis get created. So herpes can, being cured this way. See, this is an actual cure for herpes, okay? This is not a treatment. This is not about getting rid of the symptoms. It's about killing the virus and eradicating the disease from your body so that you don't find it anymore when you test. And you see, this kind of testing here with the little finger movement may look silly to you. I don't know. I have no idea how you've responded to it or taken to it. But it's actually a lot more sensitive and exact than any test your doctor can give you for herpes. You can find herpes with this where your doctor can't find it. And what that means is that it's actually possible that after a few weeks of doing this, you can get a negative medical test on herpes. You can, if you're really diligent about it, you can bring yourself to the point where you go back to wherever you get tested, and you get a negative medical result. And you can walk out of the clinic after getting that test and ask, do I have herpes in any of my bodies? And you can get this is not a signal, by the way, I'm just showing you, but you can get one of those. And you better listen to it when you get that, because that means you've got herpes, even though the doctor told you you don't have it. Which they don't anyway, because once you have had herpes, doctors never say you're cured. Never ever, because herpes is incurable. As far as they're concerned, if there's no medical cure, then there's no cure. That's all they know. They don't know you can cure your herpes yourself. They don't want to know unless they've got herpes. I mean, you may be a doctor, so, you may be hoping to cure your herpes, but you're probably not planning to tell anybody about it if you do. See, you may be wondering, like, if this works, why isn't everybody in the world doing it? And the reason is because most people, including doctors who do this, don't want to tell anybody that they ever had herpes or that they've cured it, which is actually why the global herpes disease statistic is totally wrong. Because most people who get herpes never get tested and never report it to any medical authority. They know what it is and they know there's no cure, and they just don't want to, they just don't want anybody to know. It's especially true in the third world. In some third world countries, sexually transmitted diseases are actually almost considered criminal offenses. I mean, people get stoned for having a disease in some. And I don't mean, you know, the way Bob Dylan meant. I'm talking about actually, you know, the real thing. You know, we live in a very primitive and horrible world. So, you know, if you're, you know, if you don't want to tell anybody that you cure your herpes, I do blame you. And I think that you're a despicable person if you don't tell everyone that you possibly can and wear one of these caps. That's my opinion of you. I just want you to know that. To me, you're contemptible if you don't tell anybody. But, you know, I still, you know that people do that. And I put this herpes program here because I don't want my personal bias to enable people to have diseases. You know, I don't want to, I'm not trying to withhold the cure from anybody or punish anybody just because I don't like them. You know, you have a right to be, it's a human, cure is a human right. Especially because you can do it for yourself. It's a human right. See, actually, if you don't tell somebody that they can cure their herpes, you're denying them a human right. So you're an oppressor. You become an oppressor by your, you know, sin of omission. Anyway, that's all, you know, just chatter, obviously. You're still in the middle of learning how to cure your herpes, and that's what's really important here. You know, not my opinions about people and things, which I can't help but gratuitously offering anyway, you know. What can I do? I just have no control over myself sometimes. But anyway, that's what it looks like to cure herpes, what you saw her do, you know, and there's a change. The entire, she said the swelling was still there, or this cold sore may still be there. I actually saw a woman shrink her rosacea and make it disappear from her face once. I couldn't believe it. She was doing this, what you're learning, and she wasn't cured. She still had rosacea. She was having an outbreak, okay? But she had gotten herself to the point where she could do that. And you may be able to do that with, you know, cold sores and other, you know, like herpes pustules and things like that. It's possible. I don't know. You know, I haven't had a herpes outbreak since 1993, so I never had a chance to experiment and find out if I could do it. But still, you know, you might be able to, you know, anyway. But certainly, if you notice, there was a change in the physical characteristics of the herpes. You know, her pain disappeared because the swelling was less. See, the pressure inside there was reduced, and that's why she felt different. That herpes outbreak in there was enabled by the Epstein-Barr virus. You know, that's why it spread. Usually it doesn't spread like that. But the Epstein-Barr virus compromises people's immune systems. And so do a lot of other things. A lot of emotional things will compromise your immune system. Spiritual problems can compromise your immune system. And they do compromise your immune system. And if your immune system is compromised, it's going to enable your herpes. So you may have to learn quite a bit to actually eradicate the virus. I mean, you're almost certainly going to have to learn an enormous amount to eradicate the virus from your physical body. However, what I notice with most people, when they learn the things that you're learning in this movie, they succeed to some extent, and they develop a degree of control over whether or not they have an outbreak, and the length and or severity of the outbreak and all that stuff, you know, that all happens for them, you know. So that's what I see, and that can actually give them a false sense of success, so they don't go the distance, you know. And obviously I want to see you go the distance. You know, I want you to eradicate the virus from your body. I want you to eradicate all fear, and I want you to tell the world that you've cured your herpes and help other people cure their herpes. I want you to be on the cure team. which I had my Cure Team T-shirt on when I made the original, you know, the first movie in this program. You know, so you may know what that is because you saw it then. It's, you know, and of course the organization. Here's our bumper sticker. You can see it's a non-profit. Orgs are non-profits. That's the organization. I certainly don't want to give you a false sense of success, but the fact is that the way you cure your herpes is you kill it, and you complete, and when you test it, it's gone, and it has to be gone from all your bodies. You know, there you have 12 bodies. One of them is the physical, and it has to be gone from all of them, especially the gravitational and spiral bodies. And when it's out of those, it just seems to disappear in the physical body when you take it out of the spiral body and gravitational body. And if you have it in some of the other bodies, then it may not disappear in the physical body so fast until you take it out of those too. But generally, you know, at that point, you don't really try to remove it from your physical body. You take it out of the other bodies, and then which of course is not what you saw in the movie. See, she knows how to do it with the other bodies. And so I was actually causing her to just sink her nails into the virus in her physical body right there. And I asked her, just kill it, you know. And that is another thing that you do. That's actually somewhat unusual. But as you could see from, you know, what she did, it worked. And by the way, there was a woman years ago. Here's an interesting little story. See, you're going to learn how to cure your herpes by learning how people cured other diseases. And there was a woman years ago with lupus who a friend of mine was helping cure her lupus. She had the lethal kind of lupus. And back then, my friend didn't actually realize that she was supposed to tell her friend to take it out of all of the bodies. So she just kept taking it out of the physical body, and she cured it. All the bodies affect each other. So theoretically, you could actually take it out of one body, and, you know, I mean, it might be a lot harder, but she used to talk to this person every day and do this with her. You know, and she did this for like a couple of months, and, you know, it worked. You know, there was the symptoms kept disappearing, and finally it was just gone. You know, I think she was over it for 7 years, and then it came back. But then she'd stop doing this. You can never, but that's another thing, you can never stop doing this, even long after it's gone. I don't know if you'll ever get herpes back once it's gone, really gone, and you know, if you do this for a long time after that and then stop doing this, I don't know if herpes will come back, but something else will get you. So you actually discover that you can use this to make money. I mean, like at your job, at what you do, you know, doing this changes you so that you become better at everything. And also you would tend to attract good things to yourself because you're free of pathologies. So that's, you know, generally why people continue doing it, although, you know, arguably you also keep doing it because you don't want to ever get sick again with anything, such as cancer, for example. Okay. You know what I want to do? There is something else that I want to tell you about what you just saw, which is, you notice she felt different. There was an emotional tone change. She was peaceful. She was calm. You know what I want to do? I want to show that to you again. I'm just going to show you that short section. Pay attention here, okay? How do you seem to yourself?
Very calm.
Yeah, that's how you look.
Right. Almost like I could take a nap, to be honest with you.
Well, you couldn't sleep last night because you were sick.
Yes.
Did you do any of this when you were feeling that way?
Yes.
And did it help?
Oh yeah, it always helps, absolutely.
And when it helped, I guess you went to sleep when it helped, right?
Yes.
And then after a while you woke up again and you were sick.
Yes.
Now that happened to Franny, the very last flu that Franny ever got. She woke up every hour and a half. She was waking up all night and she would take the flu out of all her bodies. And when she woke up in the morning, it was gone.
Wow.
She never had another flu. That was in 1996. 14
That's
years.
awesome.
Yeah, 14 years ago. Mm-hmm. So you're feeling very calm now.
Yeah.
Do you still have a headache?
Nope.
Do you think the headache was connected with the swelling?
Absolutely.
So you think maybe the swelling went down now?
I don't know, I can't tell.
Well, let me put it this way.
I feel like a little sore.
If the swelling was giving you a headache, and then you don't have the headache, the swelling went down, but it doesn't mean it's gone. It might still be swollen.
Yes.
But it's not pushing out. It stopped doing that. It's receding.
Something changed.
Yeah. Okay. That feeling, that calm feeling, is another signal. See, everybody gets that when they cure anything. So actually, this is a lot like meditation. But it isn't, because you don't have to meditate to get there. You do this, and in 1 second, you're in that, it just comes over you like this complete feeling of peacefulness and serenity and love and courage, power, compassion. You know, I'll tell you something about being afraid to tell people that you have herpes. Very interesting that if you notice when you have that calm feeling, when you're in that peaceful place, you are completely devoid of any fear. You're not scared of anybody. You don't care what anybody thinks or says to you or what they want from you. And it doesn't matter. It can be your husband or your wife or something. You do not care. You don't care. It's their problem. If they got a problem, it's their problem. You know? And so if you're not feeling that way, then you obviously either have herpes or are susceptible to it. Am I making any sense here? So anytime you ever feel like, see this cap? I recommend that you buy one and wear it whenever you go out, at least for a couple of weeks. And if you ever notice that you're uncomfortable wearing it, when people get a kit, we give them a bumper sticker. I have a feeling that most people don't put them on their cars. And, they don't quite know why, or they just say, well, I don't want to deface my car or whatever. I have a nice car. I don't want to put a bumper sticker on it. They have a story they tell themselves, because people are always telling themselves stories to alibi their bullshit. And the fact is, they're frightened. So if you're frightened, see, if you can walk around wearing this cap, and you're totally serene and fine, you do not have herpes. Okay? You are at that point. So if you can do that for 2 weeks and stay herpes free for 2 weeks, you're going to be, in a very cured of herpes kind of place. And it's all going to be downhill from there, and then you can take the cap off for a while, wear a different hat for a while, or no hat. Quit messing your hair up. But that's the point, is that serenity is a signal that you've cured something. Or a better way of putting it is that you are cured of it. And it takes a little longer. If you notice, it took a minute for her to get there. You know, after she killed the virus, you know, there was this, you know, place where the thing came over her, and then she went, oh yeah, I'm feeling calm. Yeah, okay. That's right. Okay. I'm peaceful. Yeah. See, it took her a second. And that is that signal is more. See this little finger movement? See that little finger movement? The peaceful place is more important than the finger movement, but the finger movement is more immediate. The finger movement is how you navigate. That's how you get to the calm place. And the calm place is the signal you're trying to get. And that means that you're going to get a negative medical test, which is another signal, right? What's a medical test? That's another test. It's another signal. Like we say test this. That means see if you get a signal. When we say the word test, it means, hey, test that question, we'll say. And that means, are you getting it? Can you get a signal on that? And so these are all tests. A medical test is another kind of test. We like tests. We like medical tests too because they're very good tests. You with me? You with me on this? Are we together on this? Because now we got to, wait a minute, not so fast. The movie isn't over yet. You have some more to learn. So what we're going to do now is you are going to now listen to a very short little question and answer thing from a woman who cured her herpes, and she's wondering how to keep it cured, and this is what you really got to take away from this movie, what's coming. Okay, so pay attention, pay attention. You're not saved yet.
I was intrigued the other day when we did the video that
Okay.
we were removing herpes, and you said that herpes are in 4 of the bodies.
Yeah.
And when I removed it in the past, I thought it was I just thought you had to remove something in all 12 of the bodies.
No, you have to find it. You want to be able to feel the bodies.
But were you saying that herpes specifically or typically in 4 of those bodies in everyone?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I was saying that was where I found it.
I got you.
And also that it's really, typically, for almost everybody, it's in 2 of them.
Okay.
And really only 1, which is the spiral.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, I didn't know that. That was interesting to know. And does that now go with other diseases too, that other diseases tend to be more in specific bodies than others?
Yes.
Certain diseases, do they tend to hang out in specific bodies? Like, should I be focused on...
Yes, the answer is yes.
Okay.
I kept finding it in my spiral body.
Yeah.
But now I don't find it anymore when I check. It dies off. If you don't let it outbreak, it dies off. So if you keep it out of your spiral, gravitate, those bodies for, for me it was probably around 18 months. That's how you cure it. But you just have to, keep checking, okay? Promise?
Yeah.
And tell us about your visit in Florida where you usually would get a herpes outbreak and you didn't get one.
I didn't get one because I was really focused on keeping it removed the whole time I was there.
Have you had one since?
No.
Well, let's keep it out for a couple of years.
Yeah.
How about that? Because it dies off. See, I don't have to check for it anymore. It's gone. But it took me years. Boy, she opened a can of worms, didn't she? Actually, a whole bunch of cans of worms. Well, guys, it's a skill. This is a skill. And there are lots of questions, thousands of questions. And then there are all the skills, like how do you find the herpes in every body. And finding it in each body is a separate skill. Working with each body is a separate skill. So this is what part 3 of the Herpes Cure program is. See, I decided to create a program that focuses on this particular skill set for curing herpes. And now you're going to have to donate. You're in one of two places. You've started doing this and you know it's real and you know you can do it and it's time to donate. You're supposed to want to donate. Or, you know, you haven't started doing it and you don't know it's real and it isn't time to donate. It's time for you to go back to the beginning of the program and start it again and see if you can bring yourself up to that point where you should be right now. And I'm still going to do a little something here on the questions that she was talking about, because see, none of this is really mysterious, but if there is something that's a mystery here, it is this: how can you cure herpes, as you saw Tony Ann do, and 3 hours later you find it again? Where did it come from? How'd you get it? How'd you get it back? You didn't have sex with anybody, so how'd you get it back? And that mystery is one of the things that we're going to address and you're going to work with in part 3 of this program. So when you're thinking about, as you are thinking about doing and looking at doing part 3, and of course there's other choices, like, look, obviously you can get around this whole thing. I mean, you could just go directly to, I've already shown you this, you know, this is a huge organization. It's not hard to find it on the web, you know, thousands of people are involved, or maybe 1,000 movies that you don't have to donate anything for to watch. And so some people who, you know, some people, you know, do it and they still don't want to donate. They're doing it, it's real, and they're not grateful to me for giving it to them. So they, you know, want to do everything they can for free. And you can, you know, you can just go find other movies about cure. You can watch many, many people curing many, many things without donating anything, you know. Or you could just say, well, why do the herpes program? Because you're going to end up in the regular program anyway. That's where everybody ends up, in the web college. So you could just say, well, I'll just go there. You know, why donate another $27 that I don't have to, other than that you want to donate. But actually, there is another way to look at this, okay? I think that you should look at part 3 of this the way you would look at spending an evening, you know, going to listen to a speaker or a group of speakers is what it's really like, and to learn about something that you're interested in. Well, last time I went out for the evening, I guess my ticket was $42.50 for the theater. So, you know, that's one way of looking at it. You're buying a theater ticket to a theater ticket to cure your herpes. And so you could simply look at it as something that's enlivening, enlightening, you know, a good learning experience for you about, you know, to learn about something that you want to learn about, which is how to cure your herpes. At this point, you now know how to cure your herpes. You may not yet be able to do so, but you are supposed to be getting signals at this point. You're supposed to have tried that and be getting signals. And if you think you're having trouble, you may not be having any trouble with that. See, like if you test, let's say, can I cure my herpes, and you don't get anything, that might just mean no, which is a signal. And then it's just a matter of working harder and going and asking all the questions, you know, testing whenever you're given a question to test. Like, don't try to get a signal on the last question, you know, test the next one. So you could just go on, you know, like that. Or there are movies, other movies that you could watch where they're specifically about people getting signals, and they show people getting signals and also show people having trouble getting signals and then getting them and so on. And you often hear that in cure shows, and I'm going to include a bunch of cure shows. When you do the part 3 of this herpes cure program, you should listen to all the cure shows I provide for you. That will probably take you more than 10 hours, but you should do that. And of course there are MP3s, you know, you download it to your player or play it through your smartphone, and you can just listen to them while you're doing other things, you know, listen to them while you're driving or working or whatever, if you have that kind of job, or, you know, so it's not going to be, you know, this excruciating, you know, sitting in front of the computer pounding away. You can wander around listening to the cure shows. And what you're going to hear in the cure shows, well, all the cure shows that I'm going to include in your herpes cure program, those were all people who were curing herpes on the show. And I guess there are maybe 6 or 7 of them, and they're meeting with a team of people who are volunteer coaches who've cured things, not necessarily herpes, but who can show them how to cure their herpes. So there's a guest who's curing her herpes. I think they may all be with women. And then there are a group of volunteer teachers who are going through step by step in a very elongated version. You see, you have to realize, like Tony Ann, you were just watching this little 5-minute segment of Tony Ann, but Tony Ann's paid her dues. You know, I think I'd known her a couple of weeks when I filmed that, and she had done work in the Webb College. See, back then there was no herpes program. She joined the Webb College. She, you know, found it out and ferreted it out and looked around and found things that were relevant, and she did them. And then she also, you know, talked to me, and then I think that was her second filming. So she had done the elongated version. So we were showing you something that was short for the purpose of this film. So what you're going to hear in the cure shows, which I suggest that you listen to all of them, they are usually between 1 and 2 hours. And the person is going through all the steps for curing their herpes, so that you can be really clear. And you also, hearing different people do it is very, very useful, because you're not Tony Ann. You know, you're going to have different things, and you want to hear how different people handle different things. You're going to hear people, they're going to remove all their pathologies or be shown how to do that. See, what I was saying to you before, and the thing that you have to take away from this and remember, is that anything that compromises your immune system, such as a pathology, will take down your immune system and make you susceptible to herpes. And see, then you have that mysterious question, well, if I've killed it, where does it come from? And the way most people answer that, like probably right now in your mind, the thing that's occurring to you is, well, you know, I didn't get it all. You know, if you've been doing this, as you've been watching Tony Ann do it, maybe you started doing it and you may be feeling pretty good right now, actually, the way she was. And that's another signal that you did kill your herpes. And so you're saying, okay, but maybe I didn't get all of it. There may be a little bit hiding somewhere that I missed, you know, I'm feeling pretty good, but, and you're checking, and then you say, well, I don't know what all the bodies are yet, so, you know, maybe when I know what all the bodies are, then I'll go through each body and I'll check each one and I'll take it out, and then I won't have it anymore. No, that's not how this is going to be. Taking it out of all your bodies will not prevent you from getting it back. And neither will removing all your pathologies, which you're also going to be trained to do. But that won't prevent you from getting it back either. Or for that matter, from those pathologies recurring. So then you're saying, well, what's the point? Well, the main point is, see, today may be the last day that you ever have a herpes outbreak. It was for me. Like the day that the very first day that I knew that I could cure my herpes and did that, and I took it out of all the bodies, which I'd been doing this for about 4 months, and I knew what the bodies were, and I'd been taking other things out of them and feeling good, and all that good stuff was happening for me. But I never actually realized that you could kill a virus until one fateful day. It was in July of 1993, and I was coming back from doing one of my seminars. I used to have a company that did, I used to own a company that did seminars. Most of them were in business training. Most of our money was made teaching people how to run their businesses and earn more money. And anyway, I was coming back from a series of those that was given on a Caribbean island, and I stopped in Puerto Rico. And I was on the patio of a car rental company where the airport limo had dropped us, and my girlfriend was renting a car, and I was doing movement exercises and testing. I was getting signals about all kinds of various things, just trying to make myself feel good because I had a terrible herpes outbreak. I was having an awful herpes outbreak, which just shows you that removing... See, you can't cure something by removing other things. You have to actually find the exact thing you're trying to cure and kill that, and then it's gone. And at the same time, you still have to kill other things or remove other things or, you know, install other things or recover from other things because, and a lot of this, by the way, is installing things. You have to install things too, not just remove them. Because anything that takes your immune system down will, you know, make you susceptible to everything else. You know, you just turn into a mush of microbial soup, you know. Basically, it's what happens. It's really, I'm dead serious about it. You know, which is what you probably were when you started this movie, or at least when you started the first movie in the series. You know, you may be doing okay now and feeling better and more confident and clear and certain about yourself and who you are right now. That's possible. You know, so I don't want to, you know, belittle that or take any... I'm not trying to take anything away from you here, okay? You know, you may be doing really great. Anyway, so there I was doing that, and I had this awful herpes outbreak, and I was feeling lousy. And I had this thought came into my mind, and I think that God placed that thought there. And the thought was, test, can I kill the herpes virus? And I got a signal that I could. Now see, if you're one of the smart rats, you just tested that. And the other people were sitting there going, oh yeah, really? You know, they're not testing anything. You know, people watch these movies and they go, oh wow, that's great. And they don't test anything. You know, it's funny. Too funny, you know. But anyway, so I tested, I got a signal. And then I asked, can I kill it now? And I got yes. And that's how I discovered the cure for herpes. I killed the virus, and that was the last outbreak I ever got. That was my last herpes outbreak. Last time I ever got the flu was right then, right there, in that moment. It was my last. Well, my last flu had been in February, and I never actually had to take the flu out. I never thought about it. Maybe a year or so later, all of a sudden I realized I wasn't getting the flu anymore, and I started testing things about it, and I just tested that I wasn't susceptible to it anymore. So that's why we call it immunics. It's actually a raising of your immunity. Your immunity comes up. So, and then you start attracting good things to yourself because the bad things aren't dragging you down and interfering with your ability to attract good things. It's the law of attraction. You know, this is why people attract wonderful things, relationships, money, you know, whatever, you know. It's how things come to you. And the reason good things don't is because there are other things that are interfering. See, because the law of attraction is that you're always attracting stuff. And however sick you are determines what you attract. So that's the secret. You know, you ever hear that movie, The Secret? That's the secret. You know? That's what it's about. So anyway, that was my last herpes outbreak. This can be your last herpes outbreak. So if you were thinking, well, what's the point of it all? If it all comes back, what am I doing? You know, this is why, because you can really be a lot better starting right now. You know, that's why. That's the reason why, even though it comes back. That's why we fight the good fight. You know, that's why we bother. That's why we work hard at it all day. Because life can be wonderful and free of herpes. That's why we do it. I'm trying to think, is there anything, what am I forgetting to tell you? Okay, so the mystery then is, where does it come from? And you were probably thinking, well, maybe I just didn't get it all. But the fact is, like if you watch Tony Ann, or even if you're doing it yourself maybe, and you know, like you kill the herpes and you feel absolutely flat, like you're just feeling okay, you know, like just good, you know, just like the way she was. But I'll tell you what, I'll show you that again. You got it?
Yeah.
Do you feel any different?
Yes.
What's the difference?
Very just calm, peaceful.
Okay. Well, I think we made a good demonstration. What do you think?
I think so too.
How do you seem to yourself?
Very calm.
Yeah, that's how you look.
Very, almost like I could take a nap, to be honest with you.
Well, you couldn't sleep last night because you were sick.
Yes.
Did you do any of this when you were feeling that way?
Yes.
And did it help?
Oh yeah, it always helps, absolutely.
Now see, you may not be quite there yet, but just imagine yourself feeling that way and like then checking and checking if I got herpes, and you're checking all these places, and you know, at that point, you know, you've done part 3, so I've given you all these places to check, and you're checking them all, and there's nothing there. Okay? And you know, see, when you do this, this kind of testing is way more exact than any test any doctor can ever give you. And part of the reason it is because of that feeling. See, this is not the most exact test. The most exact test is the combination of this and the feeling. And a lot of checking, 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 and this long test that you spend 5 minutes on. That's a long time. As you notice, this is so instantaneous. You can test something in, you know, a second or two. Just imagine yourself spending 5 minutes checking for something. It'd be like, you know, it's eradicated. This thing's gone. Where does it come from? How does it come back? And no, you didn't miss any. You know that. See, when you are doing this, you know when you missed some. And you know you didn't miss any. So, yeah, you're going to need the answer to this question. And you're going to, actually, really the only way to get the answer to the question, you know, and I'm sort of giving it away, is you're going to have to drag it out of yourself. You know, even when I give it to you, you're still, you know, to really know it, you're going to have to drag it out of yourself. And that's what this is all about. It's a skill. You know, it's developing a skill.